Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk about Jewish law versus the American government law. In principle, we have very little differences. There's some times where scientists start to make new research and they don't like the way we slaughter animals. They don't like different procedures in circumcision. But this is all because it's modern science and they're allowed to change their minds anytime, just like they have for different opinions. One time they say eggs is good for you, it's healthy. One time they say it's not healthy, too much eggs. Some of them is no good. Some of them say that it is good. They're allowed to do studies as much as they want, and they can change anything that they want. But our Torah is given 3,000 years ago from God till Moses and down to the Jewish people, and this is the way we lived for 3,000 years. And this we cannot change. And that's why we're so happy we have a country which is called the United States of America, which they respect religion. And we negotiate with the government on different issues. And they let us have our way because they understand religion has to be obligated. And it has to be listened to. The only other thing is now we come into a sensitive issue where Jewish law is no different than non-Jewish law. But the rabbis want to use out the Jewish law for their benefits. I'll explain to you what I mean. Rabbis are pedophiles, some of them, just like the priests. The only difference is the priest doesn't have a wife and the rabbi has a wife, unfortunately. Unfortunate for the woman that her husband cheats on her with boys. So it's very bad. So what happens is that these rabbis want to whitewash this, so they ostracize people in the community. They make sure it doesn't come out. And not only that, they go around publicly saying that we should not go to the government, not go to the police, we should go to the rabbis. So what I don't understand, which is mind-boggling, who gives the rabbis the right and the power that they should say something against the law of the government? And not only should they say something, they also implement it. They make sure that if anybody goes to the government, they get thrown out from, the children get thrown out from schools, they get thrown out from synagogues. I am thrown out from every synagogue in Williamsburg. And maybe worldwide, I don't know, I didn't try it out yet. They put ostracization papers. Why? Because I taught everybody on my hotline, go to the police. So they're using our holy books, the Torah, the law books, for their own benefits, so that their bad doings does not come out, which is very, very wrong. And the government goes along with it. They let Agudas Yisrael, they let the OU, they let Satmar, they let these big organizations go around and keep on saying to everybody, go to the rabbis, which is as wrong as it can be. Now, if they would say it is one thing, but they make sure that they implement it, and we need help. We are stuck between the molester and the rabbi. And where's the government to help us? Can you imagine how successful the Jewish people are in the United States? Can you imagine how successful the rabbis are in the United States? They can talk against the laws of the United States government, and not only don't they go to jail for it, they get away with it. And they implement their sayings that you should go to the rabbi, and anybody that doesn't listen, they ostracize him. Let's sit down and think for a moment. What happens if tomorrow the rabbis will decide that the IRS money, instead of paying it for the government, and they should give a certain portion for schools, we'll make a new law. Jewish people pay the taxes not to the IRS, but to the rabbis. And the rabbis will keep on saying it, and then they'll come out, if you don't pay it to us, we'll ostracize you, and then you have no community. Let's think for a moment what would happen then. You know what would happen? We would have no choice but to give them our money. So just as the government understands that the IRS money is not for the rabbis, it's for the IRS, and they give for schools as much as they want, the same way they have to understand, the minute a rabbi tells you, go to the rabbis and not to the police, he should be picked up and put in jail. You'll pick up one, the rest of them will shut up. And now, there is no law that you can't go to the police. If it was in the time of the Beis Hamikdash now, which the house of worship in Jerusalem was standing, they would stone a molester. They would stone a person that does sodomy. Today we have nobody to do those kind of killings, so the government locks him up. At least he's not a danger for society. So where are these rabbis coming in and teaching us wrong? I am ordained. I'm an ordained rabbi, and I am telling everybody that you have to go to 911, to the police, and we need protection from the police and from the government and from Mr. Charles Hines' office, that the people who come out should not be victimized, and they should have a normal life like anybody else. Just because his son was molested and he came forward doesn't mean he's worse than anybody else. And as long as we don't get that, we don't live in the United States of America. We live under the regime of corrupted rabbis, which is in Brooklyn or in New York State, and they are running their own show with no respect for government, no respect for laws of the government, and no respect for humanity, and no respect for the Torah. Because in our Torah, it's also written that we have to go to the police. Now, you'll say you're one ordained rabbi and you say you should go to the police, but there are more than one rabbi and they say it's not true, you should go to the rabbis. The answer is, number one, we have been going to the rabbis for 50 years, and 1 out of 5 children are molested in schools, and 1 out of 10 girls are raped in our classes. So that should tell you something, right? The other thing is, I myself collected 11 signatures from big rabbis worldwide, and they all say, go to the police. It's on my website, you can see it. All the rabbis are mentioned there, and it's written now in all the Torah journals, in the law journals of the Jewish law. So these rabbis that are selling you a bill of goods that you're supposed to go to the police, that you're not supposed to go to the police, you're supposed to go to the rabbis, those rabbis do it for either they're pedophiles or there's a cash flow that they get out of this, or they're protecting their family, their children who are pedophiles, or people who are praying in their shul and they give them nice tips during the course of the year. So we cannot fall for these rabbis. We want the government to understand what's going on, and before you understand what's going on, you don't even know how belittled and degraded a father or a mother of a victim is. We are exactly in the same position as the Jewish people were under Hitler's regime or under Stalin's regime, with no difference. One of the victims that just came forward with his Mendel Deutsch, the one that molested a boy in Belz, 3 boys in 4 hours. He took him down in the basement. So one of the victims' fathers told me that they're putting so much pressure on him he shouldn't come forward. What kind of nonsense is this? How do you put pressure in a country like the United States of America? We're supposed to have a freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and of course, freedom to arrest a pedophile that touched your son or your daughter. We would like the government to stop this before it'll hit very hard. You see, I've begged the government for years, and I told Mr. Charles Hines, if he keeps on his corrupted ways, taking money from the community, according to one of the people from Shmeres Hatznius, a Rabbi Joseph David Krause, who is safeguarding modesty in Brooklyn, and they have government funds for their organization, which they never did anything but extorted money, and they claim Mr. Charles Hines is on their payroll. So I've been begging Mr. Charles Hines, if this doesn't stop, we are going to become a vigilante community. We cannot tolerate that a person like Levi, the boy, Levi Kaletsky, was cut up into bits and pieces, and nobody's going to take care. And the Shomerim are the ones that are corrupted. They should have done better than what they did, and they're not supposed to take the place of the police. The police should have investigated this. So everybody is doing harm to us, and we have to sit quiet. Now, I'm not threatening that it's going to become a vigilante community and that I have the sources to make it for vigilante. I'm just telling you that, Mr. Charles Hines, you corrupted Brooklyn, and we're all furious. And behind the scenes, I can hear people say, if anybody will touch my child, Mr. Charles Hines is corrupted. I will take a knife and stab him. And it happened now in Israel also. So we have to start putting our acts together. Thank you.